Shabbat Shalom. At a certain point during the story of the Exodus, which if you have either retold it during your Seder or have been rereading it each year as we come through in the cycle of the Torah, the thought must have occurred to you, how stupid is Pharaoh? I mean, after the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, all of these plagues happened. And yet each time, more or less, Moses and Aaron show back up, and Pharaoh opens his mouth and says something stupid. Either he promises to let the people go and then reneges, or he reneged and then says, "Get out, I don't want to see you again." And then, of course, he sees them again when the next problem comes up. It's like he doesn't seem to understand how to shut up. Just shut up and let them go. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to give in. You don't have to do anything. Don't make a speech. Just the next time they show up and say, "Let our people go," go. Keep the mouth shut and don't put foot in. Because the foot won't go in if the mouth is shut. But all the way up until the final plague, he is still opening his mouth and saying something stupid to the death of his own people, let alone the suffering that he caused us. How hard is it to just shut up? Well, if you're Pharaoh, very, very hard. Because imagine being born Pharaoh of Egypt. Whoever told him to shut up? Whoever told him that he needed to think before speaking? When he speaks, people listen. No matter what he's saying, no matter the quality of what he's saying, he was born to rule. He is a demigod. You don't tell God to shut up. Actually, in Jewish tradition, we do sometimes, but that's a whole nother story, and we are a very different culture, rather exceptional, really. But in most people's worlds, you don't tell God to shut up, and so you're not going to tell the living embodiment of God, Pharaoh, to shut up. And so, as a little boy, I'm sure he said things that were thoughtless, careless, and mean, and no one told him to shut up. And I'm sure as a young man, he said things that were thoughtless, careless, and mean, and no one told him to shut up. And as an adult, well, we've got the record of that. But for the rest of us, what's our excuse? Most of the rest of us were not raised to believe that we were a God striding the earth. Maybe a few of you here, maybe your mother thought you were, but most of us, we didn't actually buy the propaganda. We don't think that we are God. And we've been told throughout our life, be careful what you say. Think before you speak. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. But do we do that? Do we have the discipline to control this weapon, this vehicle of destruction that is strapped to the front of our face? I'd say on average, no. On average, we're pretty bad at it. On average, we do more harm with this than any other part of our body and with any other aspect of our life. And most of the time, we could just take the advice we give to Pharaoh, and just shut up. Just don't say anything more. Even if you're already in the middle of trouble with someone from what you've been saying, sometimes shutting up is actually better than the next thing you were thinking of saying anyway. People shouldn't be looking at each other too much. Remember, this is about self-reflection more than about pointing fingers. If you're pointing fingers at someone else, you're part of the problem. So how do we learn to control what comes out of our mouth? Well, Judaism gives us two very, very good tools. One, it has numerous mitzvot, numerous commandments about exactly how we open our mouth to speak, about how we do not curse, we do not insult, we do not take God's name in vain, we do not swear oaths that are false, we do not give testimony that is false, we do not lie, we do not harm with our mouth, with our speech. But it gives us another way to practice the muscles of this organ, and it's called keeping kosher. It's very simple. If you are able to keep your mouth shut to keep things out that shouldn't belong in it, then you can keep your mouth shut to keep things in that shouldn't come out of it. Once you get used to exercising that self-control of not opening it at the first impulse because you feel like whatever is happening should trigger that impulse, whether it be a beautiful piece of lobster and your mouth just opens and begins to water, once you learn, no, I'm not opening my mouth for that because the Torah told me not to eat shellfish. Smell bacon, begin to drool, maybe. Keep mouth closed, bacon can't get in. It's very simple. And if you can't keep your mouth closed because of the smell of bacon or the allure of lobster or whatever it might be that is not kosher, well then what are you saying about your own ability to control yourself, to master your impulses, to be in charge of choosing when to fulfill an appetite and when to recognize that that appetite is inappropriate? Every day we eat. Every day we speak. Every day we have choices presented again and again and again. Many opportunities for exercise. And every time we choose to exercise restraint, whether it be from what we are eating or what we are saying, we are developing that muscle the same way that every time you choose to lift a weight, to run a mile, to do a push-up, you are exercising the muscles of your body and making them that much stronger. I'm going to give you a challenge. It's called the Shut Up Challenge. And I'm going to make it easy for you because it's just about February, which is the shortest month. For 1 month, pick one type of speech and one type of non-kosher food that you currently indulge in and shut up. Whether it be the snarky comments that you normally make, for 1 month you're not going to make them. Whether it be that the insult that you give to somebody that is maybe a coworker or a colleague, that you really, really can't stand them because, let's be honest, they are obnoxious. For 1 month you will not rise to their bait. For 1 month you will not respond in like kind to the words that they use. For 1 month you'll shut up. And for 1 month you'll practice in between all of those opportunities by shutting up your mouth to all of the tasty opportunities that God asked us not to eat. And through this combined practice of not giving in to what is in coming out and not giving in from what is out coming in, you will find that your day gives you multiple sessions of spiritual workout. Time after time. Because when you're not eating, you're talking. And when you're not talking, you're probably eating, if you're like me. And this way, you find yourself getting buff, getting strong. This is a constant workout of controlling this part of our body. And it's not hard, it's just difficult. It's not physically hard to keep your mouth closed, but emotionally, psychologically, this governs much of our life. We just need to learn to take back control of it. And you will find that not only from the discipline of eating things that are kosher, but from the discipline of making sure your speech is equally pure, equally kosher, that you will end up a happier person. Because all of the things that we say when we should shut up, we immediately recognize after they're out of our mouth that we should never have said it. And all we have to do is put that regret before opening the mouth, and then we won't have said it. And we won't have the regret either. Give it a month. February. It's the shortest month possible. You can do it. Shabbat Shalom.